Welcome to Zooming to Webinar Success. Your host is Grant Holmes, and his clients call him the Webinar Guy. Grant is a busy virtual meeting manager and on-screen host with a team of professionals ready to help you plan and produce your next virtual event. Learn tips and tricks to having successful virtual meetings from step one. And now, here's your host, Grant Holmes, the Webinar Guy.
Hey, I'm Grant. My clients call me the Webinar Guy. Welcome to episode 34 of Zooming to Webinar Success, and today we're going to talk about on-screen behavior in webinars and virtual meetings, and the expectations thereof. Remember, you can always catch up on all the episodes on the webinarguy.com website. You know, I find it fascinating how... That's going to come up here in a minute. That was on purpose. Okay. I find it fascinating how often in life we forget where we are or what we're truly doing. I call it being clueless, yet that really doesn't fit because the virtual sessions I manage, moderate, or host are with very bright and educated people. They're not clueless. So to make my point, please forgive this next. Have you ever observed someone, say, sitting on a park bench or in a food court, whatever, and mindlessly, we'll just go with mindlessly, they, scratch this or pick that, well, you know what I mean, right? At first, we're kind of fascinated, maybe grossed out a bit, mostly surprised that someone would do that in public. I know that you and I have never done anything like that, but I digress. In the last week, a speaker did a webinar on his phone. Well, not bad in and of itself as it was on a phone holder. At least it was steady. But during the session, he got a message, and we get to see this huge finger coming to the screen to clear it. Twice. Another phone user, a panelist that was walking around their office with their phone. So when it was their turn, they did stop, and they said their piece, but then immediately started walking around again. Talk about distracting. People in noisy places where you can barely hear them, or worse, hear everything their coworker is saying. Stupid things in backgrounds and on and on. But what to do? Let me step aside for a minute. I'm the webcast and podcast sponsor, thewebinarguy.com. Yeah, that's me. And when you decide to plan your webinar or are looking for speaker training, say, or what I call stagecraft training, we have many resources and would love to help you out. Reach out to Webinar Pro at thewebinarguy.com or visit our website, thewebinarguy.com, and use a contact form. We'd love to work with you. Thanks to listening for my commercial. So what to do? Well, first, I'm constantly amazed by people seem to think it's no big deal. Now, I'm going to call it the Walmart generation. You know, the people that just no longer care how they present themselves in public. The instance I just described above really aren't that bad. Well, yet they're not. But they point to a mindlessness of presentations and how you're seen. Let's talk about brand. Now, what is a brand? Businesses spend billions every year defining, establishing, creating, marketing, and protecting their brands. And when it comes to a webinar or other virtual event, it's no big deal. Your brand is everything, including the way you dress and present yourself, including forgetting you're on camera and blowing your nose. On camera, unmuted, honest, or like I did earlier, coughing and coughing and coughing. I could have muted. That was on purpose. The lady who sat sideways at her desk a couple months ago, but her top was, let's just say, caught on the desk, and she was showing more than she intended. When I have to pause their video and interrupt, it's embarrassing for everyone. Maybe the word I was originally looking for was unconscious, not clueless. I suppose the overarching point I'm trying to make here is to approach your virtual summit or virtual event in a more conscious manner. Your role in the webinar or virtual meeting really doesn't matter. If you'll be on camera, stop for a minute and think about how you're representing yourself and your brand. This seems an obvious point. People still get dressed up to go out. They still do go to church looking nice. They try to look nice for network events, a date with a significant other. Yet, The moment we get comfortable in front of a camera and no one else is in the room, we kind of forget ourselves. So I came up with a little checklist for you to consider. So here's one. Stop and remember what you're doing and say to yourself, okay, I'm about to be on screen in front of a whole lot of people that will tell others about my webinar, good or bad, or my virtual meeting, or my role in it. Now, overall, how can I best prepare to be present in the webinar? 2, what can I do with my background or set to best represent myself and the brand? Are there dumb things in the background? You know, like that 80s hairband poster with the swimsuit models? Yeah, that was last week's winner. And while we're on this one, check your lighting to ensure it's at least balanced. And check webinar episodes 17, 18, and 19 back in the archives for more on all of these. 3, what wardrobe challenges might you have in that outfit? Take a moment to stand up, sit down, turn around in your chair, whatever. Watch yourself in your camera to see what shows and what might not work. 4, ambient distractions, everything going around you. Really think about your space. Does your office face a windowed hallway where coworkers may wave as they... Yeah, that. Pass by and take your... That was last month, by the way. What if you're facing outside and there's construction next door or a park or whatever? Please eliminate things that will take your focus off the camera. It's really distracting, isn't it? 5, on-screen distractions. Whatever device you're using, do you have alerts of any kind turned on? An open browser window, even though hidden, that will ding, dong, or ping when you get a message or email? Any alarms that might go off while you're in session? And most likely, your audience will be part of these interruptions. When we used to do in-person seminars or conferences and we're in a room of, say, 200 people, as the speaker, you know someone always has their eyes on you. But some people are looking elsewhere. Well, in a screen-presented Zoom meeting or Demio presentation, remember that other than their own distractions, you are probably filling the screen, like this. You are all they have to look with or at. Yeah, that. 7, silly things like clean your glasses before you come on the stage or on the screen. Minute you get in and I can't see. It's just distracting and unprofessional. Make one last trip to the mirror and make sure your buttons are buttoned and at least, evenly. That your hair is behaving. Remember that little cowlick back there, so make sure to check that pesky little thing. And one last look behind you to make sure you hide that thing that will show up that you really don't want to have seen. Yeah, there's some really funny things on that on the internet. Number 8, mute your mic if you need to sneeze or cough. I mean, it's really simple. We all have it happen, and I realize sometimes that those sneezes come from nowhere. Well, if it's really sudden, at least turn from the mic if you can. And if something is really bugging you, something in your eye, go ahead and, scratch your nose or yell at your dog. Excuse yourself for a minute first. Turn off your camera and the mic. Just say, hey, excuse me just a minute. I'll be right back. Turn your mic off, adjust the blouse, blow your nose, whatever. Take a moment to get composed and come back with a smile. And thank your audience for their grace in that moment. And 10, be conscious. Stay conscious. Think like your brand. Talk like your brand. Act like your brand. Be the brand. Hopefully you enjoyed this food for thought. Well, this series is for smaller organizations and solopreneurs that may not be tech savvy, don't know all the steps, or don't want to know all the steps. And over this series, I'm going to lead you to the significant decisions and capabilities you'll need to zoom to webinar success. If you have a subject you'd like me to cover, please subscribe and then drop me a note or comment. And as always, if you need help now, don't hesitate to reach out to webinarpro@thewebinarguy.com. Hey, thanks for watching. Would love to hear your questions and comments. Don't forget to tell a friend or two. And if you're listening to the podcast, thanks for listening.